Hi, this is Dean, DCarsonCPA and GRLSTEM lines in the economy and financials, where we work with economics, risk, financial, legal technology, social research, and teamwork points to help on improvements for the entity, policy, and community lines of needs and support, from our own lines of services, applied research, and outreach, and from the connecting lines of your role in the economy and financials and how that connects to an opportunity to help stakeholder and ultimately subset shareholder value. We mentioned in terms of stakeholder because every entity has a larger framework, which of course includes shareholder, beneficial owner, the motivational values, or it could change to nonprofit and governmental for community services. But for us to have everything in context, it's better to start from a perspective of societal value because inherent in that is the opportunity lines as well as the need lines for risk, uh, for growth, risk, logistics, and basically the framework of how an entity succeeds in the economy and financials from our perspective. Those lines are the opportunity lines that never change because every decision-making process works with financials, legal, and tech to teamwork, and that's the point where we can help with the orchestration of skills from financial, legal, tech, and technology conduit lines for communications, compliant communications to help directors, boards, senior executives, senior managements on advisory lines to better understand their financials, to get better flow from financials into decision making, to interpret financials to understand on a strategic, operational, and functional level of the entity operating, not investments at this point, but capable to those lines if you sponsor for the exams and stuff we'll need in that directive. Um, in this context, what we're working with is strategy, operations, functional points, thinking about financials, legal, and tech to help the business succeed. And that has to be adaptive in terms of who we're working with on the line. The ability to understand the director's challenges may be different than the board's general challenges. Each one might have a specialized role. How does that fit to the board? How does it fit to the entity? And then how does the C-level executive suite map into that? What's general counsel dealing with? What's chief operating officer dealing with? CEO, CFO, CIO, CTO, CRO, CISO, CSO, the many different titles, Chief Operational Officer, Chief Human Resources Officer, and plenty of lines to think across those points of logistics and the needs that work with synergy. Our evolved mindset is an engineering mindset. We're focused on our growth to CEO path lines in the larger aggregate and director roles. And so the knowledge that we've built is to think across the economy and financials, to think at entity policy and community models, which we call EPCLines, thinking with air flight skills, which is economics, risk, financial, legal, technology, and social research. Kind of a broad basket, but in the aggregate connecting macro and micro and the conduit frameworks of legal and technology to decision making, which is basically you've got a lot of data. One of the things in financials, it maps it into lines of P&Ls, lines of balance sheets, lines of cash flow, lines of adherence to employee labor law regulation, compliance and governance through those smaller steps, they're accounting steps. So it's a subset of that type of stuff. Work on the benefits, the protection of the analysis of benefits and growth, and then going over to the other sides of connected needs. And every entity as it grows in size has more employees, the more employees, the more complexity. But the other point too is a small entity has much more sensitivity to volatility in the market. Things can change very quickly. They can go out of business. So having that agility to the experience of small business can be an added value. And we've also had the experience of rather large Fortune 500 international global entities like we've had with AIG, Bank of New York Mellon, other entities that are out there right now. And having worked in different capacities and roles. Our experience has worked with services, it's worked with products and services, with product models, and it's worked in the industry lines, in nonprofit lines, and in government lines, as well as individual family and community lines to needs. That broad perspective makes a broad platform to where our skills can help. And of course, we know that if we channel to your entity, and your entity is for, say, a financial services entity, subsector insurance, that's a channel of our overall ecosystem skills and the aggregate analysis skills of economics, risk, financial, legal, and tech. And so what we bring to you is an agility model built for our needs on services, so we can do applied research. Who are you? Where are you? How can we help in the framework? Very quick 48-hour turnaround frames to what you need to get the major points deliverable to be stacked up, ramped up, ready to go. And then into the point where beyond that, and that means beyond the general point that if you've got financials, legal, and technology, we can fall in immediately and start helping you solve problems. To the next point, is that that's the kind of more advanced line of feeling comfortable in the shoes of where we are. We might not have dealt with something, but research is the bridge that, there is nothing so surprising that you can't go back to it and look at it and understand it through a context of economics, risk, financial, legal, technology. what its weight is to the EPC lines and how it works in a GRL-STEM frame. These construct models help us to walk through who you are, where you are in the economy, helps us to get you mapped in, helps us to bring the best of our abilities to support you. The support lines that we bring to you are about the services, about the applied research, which enhance the quality of services, which enhance the connection to the EPC line models, which improve the value of compliance, and the outreach lines, which are compliant communications out to your groups for the growth lines, for the risk lines, and for the logistic lines of point to point, and as well to the internal lines, because frequently within organizations what happens is people fail to communicate, and it's not because they don't want to, but it's just they're not. Communications in the general in entities are an area that's an undertended critical line. We get email, you have a lot of competing things, email, text, bulletins, all these things. So there's a lot of competing needs. It's not that any one person is perhaps at fault for that, but it is the thing that if you study it scientifically, if you think how the message goes from end to end, and if you get your people to think in a certain frame about the frame that we think about things, what it can do is help them. Okay, I've got a transaction clients in front of me. Client has 3 points: growth, logistics, and risk. How you deal with growth, logistics, and risk has to do with STEM frameworks, and then their context into financials, to legal compliance, to technology. So if you have a pre-map on how you're onboarding and taking a client, and you think any client has the potential for growth, risk, and logistics, or all 3 simultaneous needs, then you're into a model where at any level, where it's a granular level, or whether it's an aggregate level, you've got something you can work with, because you're thinking about, okay, I've got this one client. Here's the perspective that comes from them. I've got this class of 100 clients. I've got 100 high net worth individuals coming to my business. What do I need to do to take care of them? It's that frame, and it's a growing frame. It's about different things, and unfortunately, one of the last tended things in the accounting education line, one of the closely guarded lines, is that it's a complex skill to sell. So we sell it in context too. It's part of the lines. It helps you to make decisions. And in the aggregate, we are a decision-making support line, because that is one element of what we can help with financials, accounting, taxes, compliance, analysis, audit prep, turnaround situations, improving the value of your financials, improving the ability of the precision of financials to help you understand your line, to look across multi-source regulatory reporting, which could be SEC, FINRA, tax, other basis, your internal audit lines, your external lines, and just trying to to always keep perspective that your risk lines also have value of knowledge to help them grow. I'm Dean Carson. I'm a strong thinker on abstract lines and core value lines, the micro details of granular stuff. What I do is connect the 2 points, bring those 2 points to teamwork and cost benefit lines directed to your priorities, but working from an existing space of strong knowledge developed to help on the economy and financials, developed to sit in a role on-demand support to executive, legislative, and judicial needs. If good fortune so permits that we're in that position, what we wanted to do was be pre-prepared for that as we're ramping up. We have full legal research skills that lack for only the JD lines and a little bit of the case research to piece things together. We have the aggregate lines of that, but there are some legal theories and stuff that come from that extra JD level that we're actively working to get to. As the resources align, we will pursue law school and get to that level. We're on the Economist lines. We have the research skills, economics, statistics, data science, the mapping of the trade and commerce, global different lines. We have that, but we may not be working in a context that you might have at the Fed, or that you might be working daily, although we are thinking in that way. So our value is a map into the models, the different forms of models, the way they're constructed, the best points of knowledge for products, markets, sectors, ecosystems, and basically an agility to move to what your needs are today. So I'm Dean Carson. We've got an agility model at DCarsonCPA, supported by GRLSTEM, which is the technology piece where we can be adapted to software, hardware, programming, thinking about the conduit lines of comms, ICT, different mapping points, and then of course the superstructure lines of economics, risk, financial, legal, and tech run through the DCarsonCPA model, which is our analyst model, focused not on investments, because we're not dealing with registered investments right now, but focused on the way that money is spent for entities, and that's a strategic, operational, and functional line in a cost-benefit frame of how you get to the points, taking care of growth, logistics, and risks is the aggregate frame, and this you can take it up to the director role, from the director to the board, to the legal entity, to the C-level executives, to general counsel and their role into senior management, that being an advisory role on the upside and a support role in defined things, depends if we're strategic, functional, or operational into the role. And then for the staff lines, we offer training and development. We will work and forward accounting ed as the time works because we think it's a new chapter, and an accountant needs to think more globally in terms to a full value chain, which is typically not taught. And sometimes that's because the academia lines are people that are focused in academia and may not have had the feet on the ground experience, but we've had 16 years working financials from audit to CFO controlling across Fortune 500, FTSE 100, DAX 60, small and medium enterprises, which are also called small business lines, and into the other businesses like entrepreneurial and family businesses, and then individual family lines to taxes and accounting, P&L, all that stuff. Age-old experiences, we can move into it, do different things with it depending upon your role because it will change the perspective, and with the knowledge of the major ecosystems at work. With our knowledge of the major ecosystems at work, what we can do is basically channel into that, get into the points of need. So you're working with one specific band of it, you're in agriculture, but you only really care about crops, you only really care about corn because that's all you're growing today. We're probably going to recommend you diversify, but something like that is just, maybe it's a very simple explanation, but hopefully it's helpful to the idea that everything is within a system. There's nothing that happens without some ripple effect to somewhere else. And so we think of the ecosystem, the ripple effects, and how it works with you, and how that knowledge can help you be better as a leader, as a team member, and as an individual. And ideally, if we can help on all three fronts of that, we've done the best value we can. Our value is a value of service to help you improve as a decision maker. I'm Dean Carson. I care passionately about this, and it's known because the lines are there out of a continual work and growth to be the best we can to help you be better in decision making. I'm Dean Carson. The difference that we bring to services is a passion and commitment to continual growth and improvement, an acknowledgement that what we're doing today can always be better tomorrow and can always have ways to improvement, but we want to be our continual best to help you be your best on the support lines. I'm a right-hand person to decision makers to help build the lines, to help improve the lines, and to help tailor and continue to improve. If there's a problem in the line, to help fix the line and repair it, and if there's needs to think broader in the map to growth, risk, and logistics, we bring that as our best way to help you out, and we're here to help you on services. DCarsonCPA. Please go to DCarsonCPA.net, and please go to GRLSTEM to learn more. Any of those lines have good contact paths where we can connect and help the needs in the economy and financials. Thank you.